Bonjour everyone and welcome back to my channel, The Waves of Your Soul. My name is Marie and I'm a French tarot reader, and if this is your first time on my channel, I want to say a huge welcome. Thank you so much for joining me, and if you are already subscribed, then thank you so much for joining this journey with me. I am fairly new to TarotTube and it's been a wonderful experience so far, so thank you so much for anyone who's tuning in. Because it's been really a fun and great experience for me. So today I wanted to film a little video around my favorite decks that came out in 2020. I have seen a few tarot tubers do this video and I thought it was very fun because you know, if you are watching these videos, then it's more than likely that you are as obsessed with tarot as me. And so we love to look at beautiful decks, we love to get inspired to see what other tarot readers are using, why they're using it, why it resonates with them. It can like tickle our creative muscle and our imagination and all of that good stuff. And I thought it would be fun to share because I love watching those videos myself. So it's not my favorite decks that I used in 2020. I might do this as another video because I have used obviously some decks that are older, but it is my favorite decks that did come out in 2020, so the new decks from this year. Now, one thing I wanted to point out before I start showing my decks is that I currently live on a tropical island which is called Reunion Island, which is off the coast of Madagascar, if you don't know where it is. And because of the pandemic, the post has been so slow. I mean, the post is slow anyway. You need like at least a month or two for anything you order, but with the pandemic it has been extremely slow. So there are some decks I ordered in March and April that still haven't come to me yet, and I already know that potentially at least one of them would have been a firm favorite, so I wanted to mention them even though they haven't come here. And every day I check my post box and I am weeping in silence thinking, when will they come? Because I just can't wait to get them because I know I'm gonna love them. So I wanted to give a shout out to the Shimmering Veil Tarot, which I haven't received yet, that I ordered in March. I have the first edition on my way. But like I said, because of the pandemic, everything is just so slow for me to get to the little tropical island I live on. And the other deck I wanted to mention that came out this year that I haven't got that I did order but I will not get for a while, but that I already feel like I would get a lot of use out of, is the Cosmic Vision Tarot. So I'll try and link those two below. So I just wanted to mention those two that unfortunately couldn't make this video, but that I've already fell very much in love with the vibe they are giving me from like what I've seen and from seeing people of video using it. So you know, maybe they would have met the cut, but of course I don't have them to show. They're here, so you know, just wanted to put them out there. Maybe that will make them come quicker, you know, putting things to the universe. I'll let you know if maybe that now that I've mentioned it, at least one of them shows up on in my post box tomorrow. Anyway, so the first deck I wanted to mention, my first favorite that did come out in 2020, is this deck right here, which is the part of the Neo Rider collection, and it's by Wheel of Fortune Tarot, I believe the name is. So you can find her shop on Etsy. This is where I got it. There are several tarots on this collection that she made. They are all RWS's reproduction, and they are all in different kind of tones and different kind of cards. You get a little guidebook, so it comes in a really nice kind of clasp shell box, and it comes with one of those little white book. And like I said, there's different versions of this Neo Rider. Depending on the color of the box, you get different things. Now I picked this one, which I can't remember what it's called, but it's the black box, because this is first of all, it's plastic cardstock. So I love the fact that it's plastic because, as I mentioned, I live on a tropical island, so you know, we live outside a lot of the time. We because it's hot all the time, so there's plenty of opportunities to take your tarot cards to the beach or to you know, hiking or whatever. So, and the fact that because this is plastic, I can take it with me and I'm never scared that it's gonna get damaged. So that's the first thing I love. Second thing why I love it and why it's definitely part of my favorite this year is because it's a beautiful rendition of the RWS. As you can see, it's kind of like this gold metallic vibe, and she has recolored the images, but it's done so beautifully. Like, look at this emperor. He's so gorgeous. I love the colors. I love how vibrant it is. You know, it's just such a gorgeous version of the RWS. Like, I love the RWS anyway. This is the deck I learned on, the RWS system, so it's very special to me and I love it, you know. But this particular rendition of it, I think is gorgeous. The one thing that's tricky with this deck is the fact that because it is plastic, it's very difficult to shuffle because it's so slippery. Like, you know, it's just the cards are super slippery and they kind of fall everywhere. So that's one thing to keep in mind if it it's, you know, that you don't like that kind of plastic feel. But for me, for the use I have, it's great because I can put it in the water, I can put it I've been taking this everywhere, pulling some reeds by waterfalls, and you know, I don't care if it gets rained on or whatever, because it's gonna be okay, it's gonna last. So definitely a firm favorite that came out this year. So next deck that I wanted to mention as part of my favorite decks that came out in 2020 is a deck I've already mentioned in one of my previous videos, but I love it so much that I need to mention it as much as I can, and it is the Joust or Joust, I still don't know how you pronounce it, tarot. I have the 5th edition that did come out this year. So this deck is an indie deck. You can find Jonas's shop on Etsy again, and she has a website. Just type Jonasa Joust, you'll find it. And she has released 2 decks. The Stunning Tarot, which is in my top 5 favorite tarot of all time, and that's why I didn't want to mention it here, because I feel like you know, it's making a lot of appearances in my videos to come and past one because I love it so much. So I wanted to talk about her other deck today, which I came out this year, which I love. Well, this edition came out this year. So this deck used to come in previous year with more long kind of cards, and she has re-edited it this year, changed the format, chunkier cards but kind of poker size. And everything is in those greens and yellows and black color tones, and I absolutely love this deck. The artwork, the line work is beautiful. This this deck is the Jonasa Joust Tarot is very pippish, so that's something to consider for people who, you know, are not quite comfortable with that, but it is pippish with themes. Another thing to consider is that it is in Galician, so as you can see, the pentacles are called Oros, and the cups are copas, and the wands are bastos, and then the swords are espadas. So it is a mix, I think, between RWS and Marseille. It doesn't really follow the traditional meanings though, because it's very much in its own world, it's very much in its own aesthetic. It is very heavily influenced by botanical inspiration. As you can see, there's a lot of plants and plant energy. Now, I'm not very good at herbalism or herbology, I don't know how you say that. English isn't my first language, so let me know in the comment. Is it herbology or herbalism? I'm not sure. Botanic things. I'm not great at, because they're not plants that I find in my local environment. Like I mentioned, I live on a tropical island, so we're not very used to seeing those kind of plants. But I feel like for someone who would be very into plants and plant medicine, this could be a great addition. Like, I did layers of meaning to this deck. Now, just because I don't really know much about plants, it definitely doesn't stop me from making the most of this deck. It's beautiful. I love the energy. It's very grounded, very earthy energy because of all those green colors. It's very also kind of a little bit fantasy, as you can see. Let me try and look at the King of Cups is giving me a bit of a magus, you know, magician, some kind of like Merlin vibe almost. So it's definitely a mix between modern-ish and imagery mixed with fantasy. The King of Swords to me is very much like the Ice King in Game of Thrones. Like, it's him, right? Or is it just me that sees that? I don't know. Anyone else who has this deck, let me know if you see that too. But yeah, this deck is fantastic. Genesis, I believe, releases small batches of decks. So if you can't find it right now, just go on her Etsy, contact her. I'm sure it's gonna get released soon. It's just one of those that when she does release them, you have to be on the ball because they go so quickly. Next up is another indie deck. I'm sorry, I feel like well, actually I think there's a good mix. There's like, you know, 3 indie decks and then the other 2 are mass market, so we're okay. Definitely a huge favorite for me in 2020 is this particular deck, which is the Holy Spectrum Tarot of the Holy Spectrum, sorry, by Chase Wars. I'm not sure how you say that, but again, you can find his work on the website Tarot of the Holy Spectrum. Just Google it, you'll find it. This is the first edition, and if you like this deck, you should definitely check his website, because right now, as I'm filming this, it is the end of 2020, we are in December, and he is currently announcing when he's going to release the second edition of this deck, so which I think is going to be like beginning of January or like any time now. So if you like this, definitely you know, check it out right away. It's very loved, and for good reason. The production quality is insane, the cardstock is matte, it's beautiful, the backs are plain and black, but I love that. It came pre-edged in black, and as you can see, it is one of those amazing, everything is based on the color spectrum, so the colors are very bright and vibrant, and it just pops. And this deck, I love not only the aesthetic, but I love the meanings behind the actual cards, the way that the arcanas and the archetypes are depicted, because he inspired his work by his partner, Lindsay, and she has, I don't want to talk shit, so let me check. The worst thing is I've done her course, but you know what? My brain is frazzled because 2020 has been a year and a half, hasn't it? Right. Lindsay Mack is Chase's partner, and she's the founder of Tarot for the Wild Soul, which is a course that I did at the beginning of the year, which is fantastic, so moving, such a great tarot course. Like, if you're looking for someone who's gonna really link tarot with soul work, something so deep and powerful and moving, and especially for people who, like me, might be suffering from chronic illness, chronic pain, Lindsay really manages to link tarot as a great tool to help us cope with all of that grief and trauma and everything that's very deep. And so Chase has taken her teaching, because he's her partner, and put all of that into this deck, and this deck speaks to my soul. Like, look at these lovers, I love it. The ace of, you know, there's the idea, the way that this deck, the depictions are made, it really does resonate with Lindsay's course. And because this course resonated so much for me, particularly everything that she did, like I mentioned, around chronic pain, chronic illness, reconciliating ourselves with our body, with who we are at our core, and really doing a deep kind of soul work around that, and not just that, her course is not just great for that, but that's what particularly resonated for me. this is one of the reasons why I love this deck so much, because I love the way that then the archetypes are depicted that resonate this. For example, this magician is amazing, one of my favorite cards of the deck, because as you can see, let me focus, come on, it's this idea of channeling, like, you know, the universe or the divine or higher selves downloads into the tools that you have at hands, and channeling something out of yourself into the material world. And I love this magician being depicted as a channeler. I feel like oftentimes he's depicted too much as a show off, or a, which, you know, magician can have that side, or, you know, like a trickster or something like that. But this one is really the magician in connection with the universe, with his higher self, in alignment with his soul purpose, and I love that. So definitely a firm favorite of 2020 for me. Love, 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 love this deck. Tarot of the Holy Spectrum. Again, if you like it, then I would definitely recommend you checking out the website. Because like I mentioned, you know, it's getting reissued very soon and it could go super quick. So yes, okay, moving on. My fourth favorite deck is a French deck, and it is Le Tarot de Marseille. Wait, now as I mentioned, I'm French, so you know, but I have lived in England many years, and so my collection is a good mix between English deck and French deck. And this deck, even though it is French, I can tell from seeing it already on a lot of YouTubers that it is getting popular even abroad. Like, even though it's French, I can see some Americans and British tarot tubers getting it, and I totally get see why, because it's amazing. So it comes in a really cool little box. You get a guidebook which is all in French, so that's something to consider. And it comes in a little pouch, which I think is really good production value. To be honest, this deck is so well produced, like you get so much money, you really get a lot for your money. And now the kind of like idea of this deck is that it is a mix, because as you can see, it's called the Tarot de Marseille weight. So the major arcanas are from the Marseille Tarot, and the minor arcanas are inspired by Pixie's artwork from the RWS. Now, one thing that I really want to mention, that people that I've seen on the more English speaking channels, well, I'm speaking in English now, but you know what I mean, I'm French, so I could read the guidebook and do my own research on the deck, and I not see a lot of people talk about that, which is not their fault obviously, but I feel like it's a big part of the deck that is super interesting, is that this deck was actually 100% inspired by medieval drawings and engravings from old grimoires and parchments and all of that. So the two people that created it, Emmanuel and Alice, they took months and months and months to go through medieval grimoires, go through the archives, old libraries, and they had a look, and they were trying to find absolutely every single bit that you see in this deck. So for example, they looked for a dog, and they spent months finding a dog that was already existing in medieval transcripts, so that they could redraw the exact same dog to put on the full card. And it is the same with everything, every sword that you find, every cup that you find, the posture of the characters, the way they are moving. The only thing that they have redrawn from them obviously is the faces of the characters, because they, you know, so that it was coherent. But the boats they found in some grimoires, even down to like the Lantern of the Hermit, like everything. And so it took them a lot of research. But this is why this deck, I think, is so popular, even though not everyone knows why they love it so much. And this is why this deck is so coherent for me, because this deck has been literally redrawn from old medieval grimoires, and I think that gives it such a unique tone. And this is why this deck makes it work, because we know that sometimes the Marseille And weight in the Marseille system and weight system, when they are trying to be blended together, it doesn't always work. Sometimes it just makes this weird freaky baby. And with this deck it works because of the fact that all the artwork was inspired and then redrawn thanks to old grimoires, pre-existing grimoires, and it does come from a lot of historical research and study. Even the pumpkins here, apparently, like everything is like from old French manuscripts and stuff. And this deck I love so much. I love it's coming in like delicious linen cardstock. The backs are also from an old grimoire that they found, so that's super cool. And the colors are so vibrant. They've done such a great job at the coloring, and I just love that it's the best of both worlds. I love the major arcana of the Tarot de Marseille, because I feel like they are so punchy and powerful, but I love the RWS, as I mentioned earlier. So for me, this is like the best of everything, and it's big. I have used it so much for absolutely everything, and I feel like it's definitely gonna become a workhorse for me of a deck, and a deck that I can see myself using for everything and everyone. And just it has that old classic feel to it, but yet it only came out this year, so a really beautiful and clever deck. Can't recommend it enough. Okay, so last deck I wanted to mention today, and if you have watched this far, thank you so much. The last tarot deck I wanted to mention today is the Dark Goddess Tarot. Now, I only got this deck about 3 weeks ago because I had pre-ordered it on Book Depository, but as I have mentioned, things take a long time to come in on my island, especially now with Corona, and so I only got it about 3 weeks ago, I think. But as soon as I got it, it just has made its way into my practice straight away, and I absolutely love it, and it has become definitely a favorite of decks that came out this year for me. So all the cards are represented by different goddesses around the world. So different mythologies are represented, a lot of goddesses from around the world, but they all have the idea of them being, with it being the dark goddesses, they all have that raw, very deep, powerful kind of messages, and it's a deck that will punch you in the face in the best way possible. But those ladies, they don't fuck about. They are not there to cuddle you, although maybe a couple of them are, but mostly they're there to kick your butt, and in the best way possible. And I love the artwork. I love I definitely don't know all of those goddesses, so I love the fact that thanks to the fantastic guidebook that this comes with, I get to learn more about different goddesses from around the world. I love that it's a good starting point for me to then continue my research. And the goddesses that I did know, I found they were very well suited to that each card. So for example, Athena as a Two of Swords, I definitely could, that really resonated with me. Tiamat as the Hanged One as well, Sedna as the Eight of Water, that really resonated with me. So the goddesses I did know, I thought they were very well placed in the tarot structure, and I didn't feel like the tarot structure was imposed onto the goddesses. I felt like it was very flowy and that it wasn't gimmicky at all, if that makes sense. So love this deck so much. It's beautiful. I believe this is a Redshift, and the Redshift Publishing, and the author is Ellen Lorenzi Prince, and this is the guidebook. So for each card you get a lot of information about the goddess and then a message around what that card means. Fantastic guidebook, fantastic cards, fantastic work. This was originally an indie deck, and I'm so pleased that it came out mass market, because I had been eyeing it for ages. So I love it, and I would definitely recommend it for anyone who is willing to explore more of the goddess energy, whether you are male identifying or female identifying. I think this deck is great for everyone, as long as you are interested to find out a little bit more about mythologies from around the world. So there you have it. Those are my 5 favorite tarot decks that came out in 2020. Thank you so much for watching. If you have made it this far, I really appreciate it. If you enjoy these videos, then don't hesitate to give it a thumbs up, and let me know in the comments which deck you enjoyed, or which are your favorite decks of 2020, because I love engaging with you, and every like and subscribe really helps my channel to grow. So thank you so much, and until my next video, I am sending you lots and lots of good vibes, and keep navigating the waves of your soul. Bye!